Hello, my name is Mrs. Close. I'm a teacher of A-level biology at Ursuline College. So you already like biology. In fact, you might go as far as to say that you love biology and you want to continue understanding it at a much greater level of complexity. And you also know that A-level biology is an excellent base for a huge variety of degrees. You will continue to learn practical skills and analytical skills, and you will also realise that studying biology does use other sciences such as chemistry, physics and maths. With over 20 years of teaching experience here at Ursuline, you will find the learning and teaching of biology interesting, motivational, thorough, sometimes challenging, but above all fun. Lots of different degrees that we could use A-level biology are found on this slide. Medicine, veterinary science, marine biology, radiotherapy, physiotherapy, forensics, teaching, and things like virology and epidemiology, which is very current due to today's COVID world. The content of this A-level is constantly being updated by the exam board AQA to make sure that you are learning concepts that are relevant to the real world, but also that you're learning fundamental biological principles. You continue to do required practicals, just as the case in GCSE, and many of the topics that you can see here you can relate to. So you'll study things about cells, transport across membranes, the immune system, nervous system, circulatory system, DNA, genetics, evolution, yes, there's plants, and much, much more. Here you can see that at the end of 2 years study you will take 3 exam papers, each 2 hours long. And the first exam paper will be covering the content of the first year, the second exam paper will cover the content taught in the second year, and the third paper you've got to bring it all together. So any content from the topics of paper 1 and paper 2. And there will be questions just like GCSE exams about the practicals that you were required to undertake. You can see in paper 3 there's also a 25-mark question which is an essay. You don't have to write essays like you do in history or English. There are different types of essay and you'll get a choice of 2 titles. So what I've done here, I have given you a snapshot of some of the language we might be using if we're describing cell membranes. You'll understand that there are many words that you do already know about, that you are familiar with. And you can see my teaching will encourage you to understand the language. So I'll read this out and see if you can picture what I'm talking to you about in your head. The cell surface membrane is actually a bilayer. What does bi refer to? Bi means 2. So bilayer is made of 2 layers. So we already know that actually the membrane of cells are 2 layers, not 1, like we always draw. They are bilayers of phospholipids. You haven't heard the word phospho, but lipids you have, and there's proteins scattered amongst them. The phospholipids have heads that point outwards towards the watery cytoplasm of the cell, or the watery fluid that bathes all cells. The heads are said to be hydrophilic, water-loving. The tails of phospholipids are water-hating, so use the word hydrophobic, and they point inwards. Sometimes there are carbohydrate chains attached to some phospholipids, and we simply call them glycolipids. These may act as receptors, and they facilitate cell-to-cell interactions. If there are carbohydrate chains attached to proteins, then guess what? We call them glycoproteins. These again may act as receptors and bind with other important molecules. The proteins also enable substances to diffuse across the cell membrane, or enable some substances to be actively transported across. So I hope you're thinking, that requires energy. So somewhere in the background, aerobic respiration is taking place inside the cell's mitochondria. There is lots of terminology. I often say to my students that you have to learn a new language, the language of biology, but I teach it thoroughly and you'll be well supported. Hopefully I will be able to plan and restart visits to Kent University, and often we get STEM activities and guest speakers in. And should you want to email me, please do. at closeg@ursuline.kent.school.uk. Thank you for listening. Hope to see you soon.